Good evening. Welcome to Oconee County Board of Commissioners meeting. Today is Tuesday, May the 6th. After a moment of silence, we're going to ask Daniel Haygood to lead us in the pledge. Please stand. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so first item is the public hearing on the FY26 budget. So Melissa.
Thank you, Chairman, and good evening, Commissioners and everyone. Welcome to the first public hearing of our FY26 budget proposal. This budget will carry us through July the 1st of this year through June 30th of 2026. I would like to start with our mission statement and let you know that we developed this budget with our mission statement and our goals in mind to provide high quality services for the citizens of Oconee County in a fiscally responsible manner and to meet the strategic goals that have been set out by the board. So with that, we will start with our general fund proposed budget for fiscal year 2026. The general fund is our key operating fund for the government. And we're requesting $45,704,250. This is a balanced budget, and we are balancing this budget with fund balance usage. It's just a quick comparison, looking at our current year original budget of $40.7 million and seeing that the proposed budget is an increase of $4.9 million, just at 12%. So I'd like to take a look at our revenues and our expenditures and show you where those increases are. First, looking at the general fund revenues, on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see a type of pie chart that shows each revenue source as a percentage of our total proposed general fund revenue budget. And on the right-hand side, a comparison with the current year's amended budget so that you can see how we are changing. Our largest source of revenue in the general fund is our property tax category at 43.5% of revenues. As you can see in the chart, that's increasing from 19.5 to 19.7, which is a minimal increase. And this is related to our homestead exemption changes and House Bill 581 that the county is a part of. Our local option sales tax, 26.4% of the budget. This is increasing more so from 10.9 to 12 million in revenues. I anticipate that our current fiscal year will end around 11.3 million. So an increase of about 6% takes us to 12 million, which is consistent with what we've seen over the past few years. The next category is charges for services at 12% of the general fund budget. And this line item does have an increase from 4.2 to 5.4. This line item includes reimbursements from the Board of Education for our newly school resource officer initiated program, where the school system is reimbursing us 90% of our costs expended on the program. And included in this line item is that reimbursement at 2.2 million. And other taxes at 10.3% of the proposed budget. This line item mostly includes our insurance premium tax, which is budgeted at 3.3 million. The other line items that you see here don't have a substantial change associated with those, and each category makes up less than 10% of the proposed budget. And looking at how those revenues will be spent, our largest source of expenditures are in law enforcement, the jail, and E911, going from 13.8 million to 15.5 million. This is the expenditure side of the school resource officer program that is causing this increase in the line item. Our total school resource officer budget is 2.5 million. That's a full 12 months in FY26. It's compared to FY25. It was implemented in February, so you only have a partial year of budget for that program. Administration and operations is at 17.3% of total expenditures. This includes human resources, finance, IT, operations, fleet, type departments. And the increase that you see here from 7.3 to 7.8 million is allocation of savings from debt that's being sent over to our capital fund as a reserve. Looking down into the economic development line item, you see that we have a savings due to a debt retirement. In fiscal year 25, we made our last principal payment on our 2016 bond for Parkway Boulevard. So we are recognizing those savings and holding those as a reserve towards future projects in that administration and operations line item. Parks and Recreation is at 9.4% of the expenditures for general fund. And Public Works at 9.4%, explaining the change from 5.8 and dropping down to 4.3 million requested. Our current fiscal year just has projects in it that aren't rolling forward into the next fiscal year. So that would be the use of grant funds, LRA funding that was spent in fiscal year 25, as well as the broadband project that was completed in fiscal year 25. The rest of those items, again, don't have substantial changes between them and do make up less than 10% by category of the general fund expenses. So if we take the total budget of $45,704,000, instead of looking at that by departments, and we can look at it by classification, so just rearranged here in a different way. I'd like to cover the various classifications and what's included in the budget. So the first item is personnel and employee benefits. While that is increasing to 25.6 million, an increase of 1.7 million, it is still 56% of our overall budget, which is the same proportion that it was in prior year. Within this category includes step increases for all of our employees countywide, for individuals that meet the qualifications for the step increase. And it does contain some changes in positions. We're requesting 2 part-time positions in animal services. Those funds are moving from operations and maintenance, and we're reducing the contract labor and moving the funding up to personnel and employee benefits for those positions. At the Civic Center, we'd like to add 2 part-time positions that were removed. We would like to add those back. And we're also recommending the retirement of a Civic Center custodial full-time position. We're also recommending a full-time planning manager, and we are removing a code enforcement officer position that is currently vacant, as well as transferring a position from water resources that's currently vacant, an accounting position from water resources into the finance department. In operations and maintenance, we're going to 11.8 million, which is 26% of the general fund budget. So I'll take a moment just to go over the different items that are included in this category as well. For law enforcement, the jail, and E911, we're including the purchase of body cameras in FY26 for the sheriff's office deputies, as well as a 5-year service plan on the equipment. We're adding new small equipment such as crime scene cameras and facial recognition software. And we're maintaining their lifecycle management replacement of equipment that we do each year, and increasing that amount by $2,000 to include armor, tasers, rifles, pistols, medical kits, car cameras, and radars. We're including an annual contribution towards future purchases of body cameras and MDTs to create that assigned fund balance to use in the future. Increasing the repairs and maintenance budget in the jail to cover items at their request, as well as the food budget in the jail. We do continue to have revenues from other counties housing inmates in our facilities. We're including a lifecycle management computer replacement at the jail. And of course, we mentioned the school resource officer's budget in this line item as well. The total budget being 2.5 million, a portion of that, which is operations, and including equipment for them as well, the tasers, pistols, holsters, rifles, and armor. 8 additional pieces of each of this equipment should allow us to equip all 16 officers that are planned for that program. In administration and operations, we're requesting to upgrade our IT support with our contracted vendor to a Tier 3 service level, which means that we get increased security for the county. Upgrading equipment and maintaining our lifecycle management program with IT so that we can continue to replace computers and laptops and UPSs on a regular annual basis, including our annual GIS flyover, as well as building funding of $70,000 that could be used in the instance that it's needed or reserved. In Public Works, we are budgeting revenues from grant funds of $750,000 from our LMIG program, which we would in turn use for paving from the general fund. And in Parks and Recreation, including at Veterans Park, quad netting and quad scoreboard replacements, as well as gym scoreboard replacements at Herman C. Michael. We continue to support the annual life cycle management program for our AEDs as well. We are recommending funding for one additional ADA position in the district attorney's office. That's an Athens Clarke County funded position, but would be reimbursed by Oconee County, as well as a software conversion in the tax commissioner's office at their request. That would be House Bill 581 compatible and continuation of the self-service kiosk location that we started in the current fiscal year. Look at capital outlays in a little bit of detail in a moment. I do have a slide for that one. It makes up 2% of the general fund budget. Allocations to other agencies include county extension office and library and health department funding. The debt service here includes our Caterpillar and Costco bonds, and support to other funds is transfers out of the general fund to other areas of the budget. I mentioned that this is a balanced budget using fund balance. So I should say here the expenditures of $45,704,000 are more than revenues collected by $310,000. We are using reserved fund balance from the general fund for the body camera purchases at the sheriff's office. And capital-specific purchases from general fund are listed here. So we have IT network equipment, building improvements for the sheriff's office complex. That's for buildings that haven't had renovations yet. It's a flooring replacement. Requesting an additional law enforcement vehicle. The school resource office vehicles we funded at $300,000. That would provide vehicles and equipment. Public work infrastructure is a balance we've been carrying related to the Mars Hill phase that we're currently in, should those funds be needed. The fleet maintenance vehicle lifecycle management at $210,000, typically funded at $265,000, but because of the existing state of our fleet is strong, we had excess funding. They didn't identify a need for, so we were able to add in the additional law enforcement vehicle that's listed above. And then park facilities equipment would be groundkeeping equipment for the Parks Department. So that concludes the overview for the general fund. We'll talk about the total proposed budget kind of in the same manner. It's $83,700,551. Includes all the general fund items we just talked about. Includes our capital funds such as SPLOST and T-SPLOST, special revenues, and our enterprise funds. So that proposal compared to our current original budget is an increase of $7 million, right at 9%. The general fund makes up $4 million of that increase. Capital, SPLOST, and T-SPLOST, $1.4 million of that increase. And our water resources enterprise fund makes up the $1 million increase. So same format here, we still show that property taxes are our largest revenue source at 23.9% of the total budget, followed by water and sewer at 19.5%. Local option sales tax, transportation special purpose local option sales tax, which is T-SPLOST, and special purpose local option sales tax, which is SPLOST, combined make up 36.4% of our budget overall. SPLOST and T-SPLOST are more specific in the purposes that they can be used for, so they're listed here for you separately. And then the following items are less than 10% each by category of the total budget that we're proposing. So total revenues you'll notice are 82,577,000. Our total expenditures, as I mentioned, are 83,700,000, and that's due to fund balance usage. We talked about that in the general fund. We also have that in special revenue of 89,450, where we've had donations not completely used in the current year, and we're using that fund balance. That's mainly in animal services donations and Fire Station 1 donations. In capital and water resources, we'll look at those more specifically when we get to those slides. So still have law enforcement jail and E911 at 21% of total budget proposed. That now includes splost vehicles in this slide at 500,000 and our E911 budget of 2.7 million. Water resources represents 19.7% of the total budget expenses. Public Works at 17.8, that's going to include our T-Splost budget of 10.8 million. Administration and operations, that is going to include the distribution of municipality payments from Splost and T-Splost at 3.6 million, and also a Splost debt service payment at 1 million for the administrative building. Public safety at 4.3 is including from Splost vehicles, equipment, and station upgrades. Economic development, civic center, and tourism includes our hotel sales tax fund at 360,000 and our civic center at 874,000. And the sanitation category includes our sanitation enterprise fund at 1 million. Specifically in our capital fund, we've identified the first 4 items here. It's funding that's coming over from the general fund to be reserved for future use or current year use should the need arise. The last 2 items are the fund balance usage. We've reserved funds for the Viper Communications upgrade and desk console workstations. That's 6 workstations, which we would like to expend in the fiscal year 26. Viper Communications was also in the FY25 budget request. That project has been started, but is not completely implemented yet, so we haven't seen the associated costs with that. In Splost, we have our park, Veterans Park bond and administrative building bonds. We've included $2 million in paving and $500,000 in law enforcement equipped vehicles. The fire rescue facilities and equipment includes 3 tanker trucks at a purchase price of $240,000 each. Includes a Lucas device to add to our inventory, as well as paving at Station 1. And our T-Splost includes $6 million in paving and transportation-related services at $3.2 million. And our largest enterprise fund is the Water Resources Department with a proposed budget of $16,495,616. It's a $1 million increase over the current year's original budget. So here we have the revenue sources on the left and the expenses classified on the right. On the revenue side, we are increasing sewer sales by $430,000 and budgeting for capacity fees of $600,000, and increasing water sales by $800,000 while budgeting for availability fees of $600,000. And on the expense classification side under personnel, the same things that apply countywide apply here. They're removing 1 position from the Water Resources Department, and that is the assistant director position. And also recall here that we did have 1 position transfer out of water resources over to finance in the general fund. In operations and maintenance, you see we're going from 6 million to 4.9 million. Fiscal year 25 just has some utility move projects that aren't continuing until through FY26, so they're one-time items. Capital outlay you see also decreasing from 5.9 million to 429,000. Same story there. We have our Calls Creek project in FY25 as well as the Bear Creek treatment design services. Those are both multi-year projects, so should they not be completed, they would roll forward into the next budget year. Then I'll also take you to debt services with an increase from 3.6 million to 5.1 million. We have our G for principal payments that we believe will be starting in January of 2026. So we'll have half a year at $600,000. And that's if we stay on track with the completion date of December of 2025. And we've also included the new 2024 debt, Oconee County's portion of the Upper Oconee Basin Water Authority. It's $868,000 that's now included in our proposed budget, along with their other debt services that are still continuing. So we talked about our strategic goals initially, smart government, growth and infrastructure, and quality of life. So we'll take a few moments to look at some of our goals: commitment to public safety, transportation, our infrastructure plan, and our fleet, just to illustrate how we are accomplishing those in the 26 budget. Public safety is 46% of our general fund budget when you look at law enforcement, jail, courts, fire, EMS, EMA, E911, and animal services. So this chart is demonstrating the total funded budget for each of those departments, and splitting those between operations and capital purchases. So we've already talked about these items. In law enforcement, we have the general fund vehicle, the school resource officer vehicles, and the SPLOST vehicles, totaling $877,000. And keeping in mind that the school resource officer vehicles at $300,000 would be 90% covered by the Board of Education. Within fire, that capital includes the 3 tanker trucks, the Lucas device, and the paving for funding of $912,000. And our E911 capital includes their building improvements, consoles, and the Viper upgrade at close to $400,000. Transportation maintenance, you can see on the right what portion of our transportation budget is made up of paving. A large component of that is the T-SPLOST paving. Um, our total paving budget for FY26 is $8.7 million, which is 58% of the total budget in transportation improvements. It does make up 17.8% of the total budget. Our water and sewer infrastructure plan, these are the capital projects that are listed in the water and sewer fund. These are all design services, so they're starter funds for projects that we believe are continuing and lifting off in fiscal year 26. So at the point when we are in need of additional services such as testing or acquisitions or construction, these projects would be brought back to the board for project approval and budget approval at that time. Also, I've mentioned these projects aren't funded from our current year revenues. These are funded from previous reserves, so renewal and extension funds and capacity fees, and in the case of Calls Creek, GFA funding. And in our phased replacement program under law enforcement, we've talked about their vehicles, the SRO, the one general fund funded, and the SPLOST. In fire, that's the 3 tanker trucks illustrated there. And then in fleet maintenance, we are budgeting $210,000. That includes an F-750 dump truck for the road department and additional funding for emerging needs that could come up throughout the year. So that includes the presentation. So today I have a couple of housekeeping items. We have a second public hearing scheduled for May the 20th, which would be the same presentation unless there are changes that come up. And at that point, I'd be able to point out what those changes were for you and how they affected the numbers. We also have a budget adoption scheduled for June the 3rd. The presentation, a 1-page budget summary, and our proposed fee schedule will be located on the website after this evening. The 1-page budget summary will also be posted by the front doors of this building, as well as the Bogart and Watkinsville have requested that they post that as well, and they typically do that for us. A quick summary of the fee schedule changes. In sanitation, they're moving from 3 bag sizes down to 1. That will be priced at the same medium bag as prior year. They're adding some details in for bulky items, but they're not changing the fees on those items. And we're increasing the fee for oversized tires from $15 to $25. At the Civic Center, we've kind of restructured the rental fees, updated block hour rental times, and adjusted the fees. and included a discount of 10% for nonprofit organizations and an out-of-county upcharge of 25%. In animal services, we've added a line item for surrenders and private cremations of $100, and it's a $5 increase for the distemper vaccination. At the parks, we have fee revisions for Veterans Park space rentals that are minimum between $5 and $10. Consolidated the Veterans Park and Herman C. Michael gym rental rates. Increased the supervision rate by staff member by $5, as well as increased program costs of park ran programs by 10%. And in the Water Resources Department, we've increased the water rates at 3.5%, sewer rates at 5.25%, and we have listed out the various categories of commercial deposits and their amounts, as opposed to just listing calculated rates by category. So hopefully that gives you an idea of all the changes and what's included in the FY26 budget. Thank everyone here for their time and all of the departments for their participation in communication, and finance, and our finance staff and administration for helping us pull together all of these illustrations and recommendations for you. I'm happy to take any questions that you have.
Any questions from commissioners? Thank you, Melissa.
Cool.
Now we'll take any public comment related to the budget. For the budget? Okay.
I just was going to ask, and I don't know for sure or not, I'm Jeff Morgan, by the way, 2340 Watson Springs Road, Oconee County. Is this available online? Can the public see it right now currently?
After this meeting.
Okay, all right, thank you. That's all I want to know. Appreciate it.
Hey, I'm Susanna Hunnell. I just had a question about the facial recognition.
That's the board.
The facial recognition, which she mentioned is going to be added. Can somebody expound on that?
The request from the sheriff's office that was funded. So if you have specific questions on how the sheriff wants to use that, you'll need to check with him.
Okay, so check out. Okay, I will. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I didn't come here to talk about
State your name. and address.
Blake Underwood, 2153 Barnett Shoals Road. I didn't come here to talk about this tonight, but one thing as she was talking about it, the school resource officers with a child in 10th grade and 2 more going to Oconee County. So I'd just like to say thank you for doing that. Please keep that fund in there. There's happy to pay taxes towards, going to that aspect of the budget out of all that's up there. So thanks so much on that, and let's please keep that there.
Good evening. Jeff Hood, Julian Court, Watkinsville. I came in late, so I may have missed something I was going to ask. 3 questions. So Costco that helped fund the T-Splost are they meeting our expectations as far as the monies we're collecting?
I'd say they're exceeding the expectation.
Okay, good. I assume that the sheriff is still leasing out jail space to out-of-county prisoners.
That's correct.
Is that still going?
Yes.
Well, okay. Are we seeing a pretty good windfall from that?
He's doing well with that.
Okay. And then my last question has to do with the former district attorney that forgot to file for the grants to assist with payroll. And that was a 2-year hiccup. So, or do you know, I guess we split the cost with Clark County. Do you know like what our share will be to cover Calkey's staff's payroll?
So we commit to individual supplements for for the employees at a certain dollar amount. The district attorney did ask for another funded position for Oconee County. Right now we have 1 assigned from the state, and he requested funding for that. So we included another $150,000 to fund an additional district attorney, including benefits, in Oconee County.
Okay.
And that will bring the funding back up to what we were really spending, matching that grant. prior to the loss of that grant.
Okay, great. Thank you.
With that, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing on the budget, and we'll move into our regular meeting. So our first item will be to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Next item is statements and remarks from citizens. This is for anything not on tonight's agenda. Any statements or remarks from commission? You want to remind everybody, our town hall meeting is the 13th, which is next week. So that's your opportunity to come, and it's a little more casual setting. We'll talk about a few things we want to talk about, and then your microphone's turned over to y'all to ask questions, and it's a little more relaxed atmosphere where we can have conversations back and forth. Our next item is approval of the minutes. This is for April 1st and April 29th.
Make a motion to approve both as submitted.
Second.
A motion second to approve the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. We have one action on hearing and action on zoning matters. Yes, sir.
Then you ask statements or remarks from citizens, and talk about town hall, missed item 3.
I did that. I did. If you got a comment, come on up. Yeah, come on.
So again, I'm Jeff Morgan, 2340 Watson Springs Road, just on the end of Cullum Ferry, just before you get to Greene County. This is my wife, Jennifer, and we've lived there for a few years. We recently lost our son, William, to a single car accident, cause yet unknown, on Cullum Ferry, just below Essex. And it became very apparent to us how dangerous it is on Cullum Ferry Road. It was especially dangerous during the construction. Now that the construction's over and we have a brand new, beautiful paved road, speeds have went up dramatically. 9 days after my son was killed, there was a troubled spot at Astondale and Cullum Ferry. 9 days after that, within 9 days, there were 2 accidents. One of them was a pretty bad collision. The other one was less. Since then, we've had other accidents on Cullum Ferry, and we had a fatality the other day out by White Oak, I think, out in that area. So, it's my general opinion that we have a traffic problem here. Not only a traffic problem, but an enforcement problem. And not only an enforcement problem, but an oversight problem. And I was here a month ago. I talked to you guys. I was the guy in the pink shirt. I'll explain my pink shirt. My son and I had a running joke about him, Dad, you got to wear pink sometimes. Because he was a big fan of the bright colors and stuff, and I wear this in remembrance of him. But my wife and I, we travel Cullum Ferry every day. We routinely get people riding our bumpers in large trucks. And like I stated last time, there's all kind of inherent dangers with farm vehicles and animals in the road. You name it, it's there. And you have to be on your P's and Q's. But people running 70 and 80 miles an hour up and down Cullum Ferry Road is a habit. It's there every day. And there's no place there to run 80 miles an hour. It's like the Autobahn. And I asked last time I spoke about possibly putting a couple of stop signs there at Astondale to prevent those head-on type collisions. You've got Astondale with a stop sign on either side of it as it crosses Cullum Ferry, flashing stop sign, and that's great. But if you could make that into a 4-way stop, what you're going to do is if you cut your accidents down by half by doing that, you're saving property, you're saving lives. And I think we owe it to ourselves as this county grows, and it's going to grow because I see all the zoning stuff that's happening. You can see it in the budget that was just presented. As we grow, it's going to do nothing but get worse. And if we don't get a grip on it now, we're going to be paying for it later. Just right out to Gwinnett sometimes, or even where I come from originally, right out to Douglas County. Unregulated and uncontrolled growth is terrible for us. And I'm glad to see that we're starting to do some planning on that. Again, I'll second the thank you for the school resource officers. Keep that in the budget. But what I'm asking is, last time I was here, I asked if somebody would take some homework. In fact, I just think I said just anybody, take some homework and tell me what we can do about enforcement, improvement on Cullen Ferry Road and in the roads in general. And I got no contact from any of you. One person said they tried to find my cell number, but couldn't. My cell number is 678-347-6401. I gave you my address when I got up here last time. And people around here know me. I'm knowable. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, you name it, I'm there. But I was really surprised that nobody tried to contact me. And that's what bothers me. I'm a citizen. I pay taxes here. I have a business here. I have 2 businesses here. And I would love it if I felt like a citizen could walk up and ask for some interaction. And given a whole month has passed, at least get something. So anyway, I was just going to put it back on you. Does anybody, do you have any comments?
I do.
Okay. I was just going to ask you if you have anything to add about safety in general, Cullen Ferry Road. They did, one thing I will tell you, all of a sudden, tons of safety people out there. There wasn't any much when they were doing the construction. I spoke here and miraculously there were safety people everywhere after that. And they paved over the area where my son went off the road at really quickly after I spoke here. But I appreciate the added safety, however that happened. Maybe somebody heard me, I don't know, but I appreciate that. Jenny?
I want to give a couple of examples of the traffic issue that we have specifically on Cullen Ferry. I travel that road. It's roughly about 10 miles from my house or from our road to the end. Yesterday morning, big pickup truck came flying down on my tail. I was doing 60. I'm going to admit it. I was doing 60. And he went around me, not only on a blind hill, but a blind curve, putting not only his life in danger, and it was a guy driving, but a potential driver coming the other direction and me sitting next to him. That's 3 cars potentially in a wreck in that one incident. A couple of weeks ago on a Saturday morning, we were heading out of town and there was a truck pulled over on the side of the road just at the top of Cullen Ferry. No lights, nothing. Blended in with the pavement enough, I almost didn't see it. We pulled up next to the truck that was in front of it, which just happened to have their blinkers on in front of it, and talked to him. The guy got very angry with me very quickly. It escalated fast. My husband was in the car. He tried to talk to him also. This guy yelled at us for making the comment of, please get something behind that for safety because someone is going to hit it. I saw it at the last moment, just enough, thank God nobody was coming the other direction to go around it. And I was just simply asking him, do something for the safety. Those are 2 examples in the last 2 weeks of the lack of safety on that road, the lack of common sense on that road. There are teenagers that drive that road every single day that put themselves and others in danger. There are adults that drive that road every day, putting themselves potentially in danger and someone else in danger. All I'm asking for you to do is do something. I would say speed bumps, but we know that's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous answer. But find something to do. I'm giving you homework. We're going to be back next month. You've been warned. I'm sorry I couldn't be here last month, but we're going to be back. And we're going to continue until somebody has an answer. And that's not a threat, that's a promise. Because I'm tired of being run over on that road. I'm tired of seeing other people put their lives and other people in potentially in danger. And I want an answer. That's all I'm asking.
Thank you.
So
I just want an answer. And I appreciate your time. Thank you.
So I will say, Mr. Morgan, that it was my job to get in touch with you. We don't run in the same circles, so other than coming to your house, knocking on the door, which I did not do.
Mhm.
So what we've done on Collin Ferry Road is extend the lane width. We've done the repave. It was, as you remember, it was in pretty rough shape as far as the asphalt. Deep
It
patching.
was in terrible shape, yeah.
Yes. So that's one of the items that we've done. As far as the intersection, we've been working this group on fixing intersections in Oconee County since we took office. So we got 5 local roads, intersections that we're working on. First one is Snow's Mill at Lane Creek. And this was reviewed by an engineer. They went through and looked at crash data, looked at volume going through there, and they ranked them. So the first one has already been bid. The second one is Union Church at New High Shoals Road. That one's currently out to bid. And number 3 is the intersection you're talking about. So that is almost done with engineering. So we'll go to bid for that hopefully in the next 60 days.
Well,
So that's what we're doing with the intersection. The sheriff actually lives on your road.
I know it.
So yeah,
I know,
yes,
I know his
okay.
family.
All right.
I know his family very well.
So
Here's all I can tell you. I was in the military for 20 years. I was an armor officer. I served twice. Repetition is key. So if we have enforcement that's repetitive, it'll start training drivers to slow down. Okay? And action now is a lot more effective than a plan. Plan will eventually work, but action now prevents problems. I learned those things the hard way in the military. It doesn't cost much to take 2 stop signs, a pair of post hole diggers, a couple of bags of Saccrete, and make that a 4-way stop until we get the engineering finished and the budget done and the roundabout designed or whatever it is we have to do, right? Because all the delays and stuff that I know are endemic in engineering, because I built a plant in North Athens called RWDC Industries. And I know all about design and the problems and stuff that go on there, okay? It's hard. But give me the post hole diggers, 2 bags of concrete, and 2 stop signs. I'll do it on my Saturday off. I'll put the signs up there. It's not that hard, and it saves lives. And it's just temporary until you get the real thing done. We're citizens. We're telling you, there's problems out there that can be fixed quickly, right? By action now, and then better fixed by design later. Anyway, thank you for the time. I appreciate it. Again, call me. Thanks.
all right, so the rezone position shall be presented by the county staff with no time limit. The applicant, those signed up to speak for the petition shall be allowed a total of 20 minutes, less the applicant's reserved for rebuttal. And those signed up to speak against the petition shall also have 20 minutes. The public comments will then be closed, and the board shall have an opportunity to ask questions, and then the board shall take action as set out in the Unified Development Code. So with that, we'll call rezone request P 25-0015. It's Blake Underwood. It's rezoning from AG to AR, 48.96 acres at 2153 Barnett Shoals Road.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Again, this is rezone P 25-0015, Blake Underwood, applicant and owner. This is parcel C 04038 along Barnett Shoals Road. It's currently zoned AG in the Country Estates character area. And again, the request is to rezone the 48.96 acre property from AG to AR. This is the recorded plat you have in your application, the proposed concept plan with the 12 lots, architectural images submitted with the application, and staff recommends conditional approval to AR3, not AR as requested, with our 3 standard conditions. And number 4, a stormwater pond shall be placed on a separate utility lot or lots having a minimum road frontage of 40 feet. And number 5, a preliminary plat shall be submitted for review indicating all lots meet the minimum requirements of the AR3 zoning district. Preliminary plat submission shall be in lieu of a revised concept plan to meet the requirements of section 120605D2. And the Planning Commission recommends approval subject to the same condition, to the AR3 zoning and the conditions recommended by staff. Thank you.
Now we'll hear from the Frank.
Good evening. My name's Frank Pittman. I live at 1400 Saxon Road. Representing the property owner Blake Underwood, who's also here tonight and is going to speak to you guys as well. As Mr. Herring mentioned, we're talking about 2153 Barnett Shoals Road, roughly 49 acres zoned ag. The request would be to rezone this to AR to allow for a maximum of 12 lots. As the concept plan shows, we are proposing 9 lots, which are 2 acres, and then 3 larger lots in the back of the subdivision for a maximum of 12 lots. This averages out to a little over 4 acres per lot. The Country Estates character area does say the subdivision densities in the character area when allowed range from a minimum of 3 to 4 acres per dwelling unit. We are 4.08 per lot. So we feel that we do meet the what the character area is looking for. The character area in the comp plan mentions densities and not minimum required lots. I will mention the reason that we are looking at or requesting our lots is because 3 to 5 acre lots are tough to sell. You've got a lot of 1.5 acre lots and larger subdivisions in the county, which sell real fast. You've got 2 acre lots, which are people that are building a little bit more expensive houses. And then you've got people that want kind of mini farms and barns and horses and stuff, and they're looking for 5 acres plus. That 3 to 5 acres is a tough spot to sell. You know, in my history of doing projects in Oconee for the last 25 years, I think I've done 2 AR3 subdivisions total. One down at Bridle Gate on Astondale Road, which I think there's still lots 20 years later that hadn't sold. And then one over on just down from Lane Creek that there's still some lots that hadn't sold 20 years later as well. So it's a tough spot to sell AR3 lots. It was mentioned during the Planning Commission by staff that one of the reasons that we look for AR3 on these kind of out corridors is because of traffic. I will mention that AR3 would allow up to 16 lots on this property. We're only asking for 12. So we're below what AR3 would even allow. And we would be allowed 9 lots by right without a rezone under the ag zoning. So we're only requesting 3 lots more than what we allowed today. This property does touch an AR subdivision on the back side, Victoria Station. It is also right across Barnett Shoals Road from another AR subdivision. Looking at these subdivisions, Victoria Station's got 110 lots in it that are less than 3 acres. Porter Creek, which is right across the street, has 15 lots that are under 3 acres. And just by my count alone, going out further out the Barnett Shoals corridor, along Barnett Shoals, the subdivisions on Barnett Shoals and on McCree's Mill Road, which are further out, I counted 428 total lots on those 2 roads that are less than 3 acres. So we're not asking to do anything that isn't common out that corridor. And that doesn't even take into account McCree's Gin, Flat Rock, which have a lot more as well. I went back and kind of looked at the history of these ag to AR subdivision rezones, specifically in Country Estates. You guys did approve one last year on Hog Mountain Road from ag to AR and Country Estates. There was also another approved at the end of 2023 on Maxey Road from ag to AR and Country Estates. And then you go back a little bit before that, I rezoned one along Bell Lake on Column Ferry Road a couple of years ago for ag to ARs and also in Country Estates. And then there are a handful of others. There were 5 approved in 2022 and 2 more in 2021, all ag to AR. There also been 3 since 2021 approved ag to AR in rural places, which are looking for 4 to 5 acre lots that were approved to AR as well. So again, we're not asking for anything that hadn't been pretty common. I would like to mention the condition number 4 that was requested by staff to put the stormwater ponds on their own lot. We feel that this is unreasonable, is not a requirement of the UDC. And from at least all of my time and from my research, I don't see that that's ever been a condition that's been placed on a rezone in Oconee County. You guys approved a 120 lot subdivision, I think 2 months ago for Tony Townley. It wasn't requested as a condition on that one. And I don't see it requested anywhere else. We kind of feel that's probably could be considered a taking. You're taking property from a property owner and requiring it to be owned by the HOA. You're also taking that property off tax docket as well when that happens, for something that the UDC doesn't require. So with that, I would kind of reserve some time, but we would request that you guys approve this rezone to an AR with striking condition number 4. And we'd be open to any questions as well. I want to introduce you to Blake Underwood, who's a property owner who I think wants to speak a little bit about his vision.
Thank you. Blake Underwood, again, 2153 Barnett Shoals Road. Frank hit on a lot of things I was going to mention to you, so I'm kind of going to gloss over that a little bit, but kind of reiterate it a little bit too. But, you know, my vision for the property is a small friends and family style community. I don't want to max out this property in either one of the densities, quite frankly, which would allow 16 to 24 lots. Happy to make a condition of the rezone to make it a maximum of 12 lots. So that would be there forever. There's no arguing that. So, you know, make that a condition as well. We'll never have more than 12 lots on that property, and the average will be basically 4 acres. But at the end of the day, you know, to make it financially viable, we do need to be able to do some 2 acre minimum lot sizes. We're looking at, you know, lots starting at 250,000 and homes being, you know, 1.5 million plus. Just to give you an idea of, you know, the vision there. I know he's already showed you some, you know, kind of indicative architecture. You know, the county does have, and Frank hit on this a little bit, but the county does have demand for 2 acre lots. And we have a lot of interest from friends that want to be over there, want us over there, and want this development over there, that want a 2 acre lot. And we've seen a lot of areas where, you know, this, you know, 3 to 5 acres is just not what people look for. It's just kind of that, it's almost like a little missing middle in lot sizes. You know, as he mentioned, the demand really jumps to that 5 to 10 acre. The folks can afford that much, you know, and build that big a house and whatnot. I think Frank really honed in on the, you know, Victoria Station's behind us. That's 2 acres or less lots. Porter Creek across the street. To the neighbors to the west, there's 2 lots right there that are 1 acre and 2 acre lots, you know, almost adjacent to us. One of them is adjacent to us. You know, a little bit about us. My oldest daughter, she's in 10th grade at Oconee County High School. Has been a part of that school system since the 2nd grade. We've been a part of the community for so many years through the school, the Little League, and the sports teams. We're really excited to build our forever home here, and raise our remaining 2 children, you know, in that home and in this community and in the, you know, wonderful school systems that we have here. Condition number 4, I do want to hit on that a little bit, you know, and I'm going to try to do that without being too harsh. This is a drastic overreach, and as Frank mentioned, it is a taking of private property. We can talk all night about this point, and I understand it very well. I've been managing HOAs for 20 years. I'm very familiar with, you know, maintaining stormwater ponds, what it takes to do that. I've seen, you know, the issues they brought up in the previous meeting. But even if you do put it on its own lot, you still have to have an easement to it. The county don't own it. The HOA owns it. So the HOA can still do the same thing by putting trees in the way of the easement, putting community space in the way of the easement, putting a fence out there. There actually is constant. The HOA is going to want to do do those things for amenity space because they see they have land there, but they don't really understand that's the easement. You don't play in that area. So even if you do that, you're not solving the problem. It's still there. It's still an easement, and it still has to be maintained. So I don't want to, pound that issue, but as Frank mentioned, you're definitely taking that property that I paid a lot of money for and putting it in an HOA, and now it's worthless on the tax rolls. I'll just say, no matter what comes out of this rezone, I hope that's an issue that can be put to bed at this rezone, and you guys don't even have to hear about it anymore, because I feel so strongly against that. So appreciate what you guys are doing, and thank you.
Owen and Maggie Holiday.
My name's Owen Holdaway, and that's my wife Maggie. We live at 2021 South Barnett Shoals Road. So we are almost directly next to Blake's property down there. And over the past year or so, we've gotten to know Blake and his wife very well. And we just want to say we support the way they have this laid out. We think it's a tasteful way to subdivide the property, and I think it'll add to what we have around there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alicia Borders.
There, excuse me. Hey there, Alicia Borders. I live on 1057 Ashford Road, so we are also going to be a neighbor of the Underwoods. We are very excited to welcome them to our area, and me and my family, we fully support what Blake and what he wants to do. I think it's going to be really great for our community, and everything he does it very well. So we fully support it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Lawson.
Jason Lawson, 1070 Porter Creek Drive, Watkinsville, Georgia. My neighborhood is directly across Barnett Shoals from this potential development. It resembles our subdivision. Of the 22 houses in my subdivision, 15 of those are less than 3 acres. I think the 2 acres and bigger that they have proposed with the more estate lots in the back, it is a great representation of what the community that I live in, my neighborhood. Great neighbors. I would like to say that a lot of you have been in development and know that it's not always a one size fits all. You have to kind of take the project and make it fit the property. So what you have here is a good proposed development with the future land use map and the 3 acres. It's a good go by. It's good to get us started, but then we have to try to figure out how do we make that fit? How do we make it look, like the surrounding properties? How do we get it to be, cohesive? So I'm in support of this. I hope you find it the same way. If you have any questions, be glad to answer.
Thank you. Our time left. With that, we'll move over to those who sign up to speak against. Dan McGee.
Dan McGee, Lock Loomis Circle. Sorry I have to leave in a minute. Oconee High School boys soccer going to play in the Elite 8 in a couple minutes. My kid's playing. No problem with this development. However, county just turned 150 years old, quite an accomplishment. We constantly hear about people in the county wanting to keep our history, not turn to Gwinnett. There's a structure on the property, 165 years old. I can't think of more than 3 or 4 structures in the county that are that old. It's 15 years older than Oconee County is. Going to build $1.5 million, $2 million homes on this. That structure needs to be saved. It's Oconee's history, whether it be moved somewhere else in the property, somewhere else in the county. But to demolish a property when you're 165 years old, 15 years older in county, and then build $2 million homes, it's a bad look. It's a really bad look. There's conditions. I've been to dozens of these meetings. I think Guy and his staff are more than accommodating for most of these zoning things. I've seen Guy and work with developers. He's very accommodating. So if he puts conditions down, I trust that they're needed. I'm sorry I had to go. I got to go to soccer game. Thanks.
That's all that signed up to speak against. So unless you have a rebuttal.
Sorry, Mr. McGee ran, but he's welcome to have it. I will give it to him. He can move it. I've actually already reached out to some folks that are interested in the building. We're gonna, hopefully somebody does take that, relocate that building. I have been through it. I looked at it. I like historic properties very, very, very much. I've, been part of developments that, had historic properties on them and things like that. So we're hopeful we're going to be able to do something with it. That structure is in very, very, very rough shape. It hasn't been lived in for a long time. So we're going to see what we can do with it, but it is available for anybody that wants it. I hope this is publicized and they can call me and come get it. So thank you.
With that, we'll go ahead and close public comment. Any questions from commissioners? You didn't sign up? You didn't sign up to speak. We've already closed public comment at this point.
With due respect, you spoke to the gentleman sitting at the desk, said that you're multiple, and speak, that's all.
Come on up.
Susanna Hahn, Multman Oaks Trail. I'm not really here to speak against this project, although I'm not really in favor of it at this point, but I did want to just kind of tell you why I am here. Last Thursday, May 1st, I provided a public notice violation affidavit to the planning department in reference to this property, 2153 Barnett Shoals Road. It appears the county is in violation of their own Unified Development Code, Article 12, Section 1209, which pertains to public notice and hearings on zoning changes that are initiated by the property owner. Article 12, Section 1209 states a procedure for proper notice to the public. The notice must be in the paper. Adjacent neighbors must be notified at least 15 days prior to the date of the hearing, and signs must be placed on the property frontage as to be legible from the public road at least 15 days prior to the date of the first meeting. This did not happen, as I can see. So it appears the county is in violation of two of the three requirements for the public notice per UDC, Article 12, Section 1209. In my visit to the planning department, I asked for evidence of notification of adjacent neighbors. I was told that there is no evidence of the letters for property owners because they were sent by regular mail. When I inquired about signs, I was shown a picture of a generic sign on an undistinguishable property. A sign was finally placed the evening of April 30th or the morning of May 1st when I saw it quite early that morning, where it remains to this day. So it doesn't appear to me that the 15 days prior to the hearing, the sign was in place as it's supposed to be per your own UDC. So the county appears to be in violation of public notice and hearing portion of the UDC. As I never received any response to my sworn statement in the form of an affidavit, which I turned into the planning department on May 1st. I'd ask the commissioners to postpone their vote until after the public notice signs are in place for at least 15 days, which would be after May 15th. And also so that neighbors can be properly notified. In addition, Article 12, Section 1209, Section C, sufficiency of public notice states, failure to provide notice as required by this section shall be grounds for the final action on a proposed zoning change to be declared null and void. Thank you.
Chairman, Board. I'm Joe Ezernak. I live on 1071 Twin Oaks Trail. I've got two middle schoolers. My wife is an educator here in town. I love our community. We're involved, finance chair at a local church. I've known Blake Underwood for over 25 years. And so I know this area is going to develop. When he was taking that part, I was very happy because I know he does excellent work. He's going to live there. He takes pride in what he does, and I think it'll be a good development for our area. I've known Blake so long, so well. Had a baby shower for Callie at our house, and it was actually kind of epic for a baby shower. But anyway, I'm full support of this. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Herring, can you address the accusations from Ms. Hamel?
No, it was duly advertised and posted.
I went by there. There's no sign. Then we put, of course, people knock signs down. I don't know if there was one.
We do have a picture on the date, 15 days before. You want to go through what you got?
We do. We have a photo with a date stamp on it with the address in the background of the sign being placed. And so it was placed in proper notice. We also provided legal notice as well. Letters were sent, but there is not a certified mail letter that is sent. And the code states it may be sent. It's not a requirement of there is no shall there. When we found out that the sign was laying down, we went out there and stood it back up. It was laying down. It was laying where it was placed. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'll just add that the code section specifically says that failure to mail notice is not a failure to give notice, not a required thing. It's purely optional in the code. So obviously we've got a guy and his staff who say they sent it. That's good evidence that it was sent. But even if it wasn't, letters weren't sent, they didn't have to be. And our code says even if they're not sent, that's not a failure of notice.
Any other questions?
See the photograph.
I don't have it with me. No, sir.
You got it?
Yeah. Order.
Commissioner Herring, I'm not adept enough with my technology to get it from my phone onto the screen, but I'll say this, the sign does have a date stamp on it. My staff is telling me it's been properly posted. Signs do fall down. They were made aware of it. They put it back up. There's further question about that. There's appeal remedies that are prescribed by law on how to go about that.
You know, to be clear about one thing, over the years, we have had signs taken. We've had signs knocked down. What the law requires is that the sign be posted. And then as soon as we know that it's down, we put it back up.
Any other questions? None? Questions on anything?
Oh, I was thinking. I got some questions.
Okay.
So Mr. Herring, could we talk about the stormwater lot?
Sure.
Yes. Is this something now that your department's looking at requiring for future development?
It is, and I think even as Mr. Underwood suggested, you know, there's difficulties with property owners understanding the use of a detention pond. And so there are some MPDs that we have that actually have the ponds on individual lots. And obviously that's assigned to an HOA. And just like even if it's not on an individual lot, it's assigned to an HOA for management. We thought it'd be a good practice, maybe moving forward, so that those people that purchase those lots, you know, would not have to deal with a detention pond on their lot. Certainly that's up to the board to make that call, if that's a valid condition or not. And certainly we can look at it in the future through a text amendment and have that discussion. But really the idea was to make sure that future property owners wouldn't be encumbered with an easement and a pond on their lot.
I interject, but when we say lot, what are we talking about? How much?
Yeah, whatever would be determined to be needed for that detention pond in that location. So Frank would engineer the pond, and that would constitute a lot. It would not be a buildable lot of record, it would be a utility lot.
So then that lot would come off the tax books.
Could.
And then the other way, it would be included with the tax records.
Right. And I think in these larger lot subdivisions, the ponds are probably minimal, especially if you have such a large acreage. So I don't know that it would be that large of an area, but that would have to be determined.
It's been brought up. Interject. Daniel would be the one to help me with it, but it's almost, we're doing something totally different. It's almost like a taking. And so that's my concern too. I'll be honest with you, guy, it surprised to me that we did this without any discussion. Because it's a big change on what we do. I'm not saying that we haven't had trouble with HOAs or whatever taking care of that location in their subdivision. But a lot of them, they're not in that business. I don't know, there was a lot of good communication between the developer and when they turned it over to the HOA, but that's a big change from what we've been doing. So anyway, I just say that.
I've got a question on design. I know pond is one option, and then if I'm assuming that this is ditches, that you know you could do a bio ditch in lieu of the pond, and so you know moving forward in the future, you know that might be a better solution. You know, give an option.
And
doing bio ditches.
You're right. It certainly is an option. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. That way the pond, you know, maintenance not an issue, and then the bio ditches is something that, you know, is very visible.
Right.
Got to be maintained by either the HOA or yes, in some cases, the county maybe, but it's a public road.
I have a question. I guess that brings up just clarification. Frank, are y'all planning curb and gutter, or is it just going to be a ditch? I mean,
I think it could be either or. I mean, once you get into design, you know, it's a little bit rural, so ditch sections are sometimes preferred, but you got to be able to get water to ponds, and sometimes ditches don't work doing that. So once we get into design, you know, the UDC would allow it either way. So I don't know that is necessarily determined this early on.
y'all have, now, putting the stormwater pond on one lot, would that eliminate the need for drainage easements throughout the subdivision?
Probably not. No, I mean, you still get the water I mean, unless all the water comes to that lot at one point, you still may have to have easements, you know, to get to it from other areas.
Yeah. I think that's, I mean, not to try to make light of this important, but I know most homeowners forget that there's a drainage easement running through their backyard until we have an 8-inch rain.
Right.
And then they say, my property's flooding, but they forgot that they have a drainage easement. So that's why my question was by putting the stormwater pond on one lot, would that eliminate drainage
No,
easements?
no, I mean, it may eliminate them on some of the lots, but not on all of them, because you still got, especially the lots on the low side that drain off to the creek, you're gonna have to catch the water on the backs of those lots to get it to the pond. You know, the lot would only front on the, up to the roadway, so you'd still have easement along the backs of those lots anyway. So no, it may lessen it, but it would not eliminate it.
Okay, thank you.
Right, before you go, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
On the 2-acre lots, I know it's early in the game, but have you seen any evidence that the soils would not be?
We did have soil scientists go out and take I mean, he hadn't done a full level 3, but he took a few holes, and everything he saw out there was pretty good. You know, again, on that low side, there's a creek along the low side of the property, but it's far enough down to where there's plenty of room up on the high part of the property for septic.
So the 2-acre lots would be on the creek as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. The 2-acre lots will be on both sides of the road going in, and then at the very back of the cul-de-sac, there'd be three big lots at the back. There's a creek along the back as well. It's a creek down the left side and across the back.
Okay.
Before you leave,
Yeah.
how much property is not being used as a lot? You know the acreage on that?
Right now, with this current plan, it's probably about 2 acres, which would be the road right of way. Everything else is on lots, as our plan shows.
Okay, what I'm saying is 3 big lots in the back.
Uh-huh.
They're taking up.
Oh, of the property, so we've got 9 2-acre lots, which are 18 acres roughly. You got about 2 acres of road right of ways, 20, so you got about 30 more, almost 30 more acres in the back that would not be part of the 2-acre lots.
So you're talking about 3 houses back, all that.
Yes, sir.
Give it up, have a chance to make it.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, because like I mentioned, I mean, even at 3-acre lots, I think you take the right of way out, you could still get 15 to 16 lots out of that. If we were trying to maximize the 2-acre lots, I mean, you're probably 20 to 24 lots. So we're really half of what the AR density would allow. That's not what his intention is.
I'm gonna try to make a question on this one. I will say this is not a typical one road in cul-de-sac lots all around it that you see a lot of places. I think I commending your client for having lots in the back.
Right.
And what concerns me is if your client, and I'm not saying he'd do this, but if he changed his mind, they go out in the parking lot, and I don't know if I want to do that or not. And he came back and did those big lots in the back, maximize that with 3-acre lots. It changed the front with 3, then we have a typical subdivision.
Right.
Okay? And when I listened to the presentation at the Planning Commission, it was mentioned about Barnett Shoal, traffic, so forth. So I think the point is, yes, the book may say recommend 3 acres per lot, but in my opinion, that's going, if he were to do that, he adds traffic to Barnett Shoal.
Right.
What he's doing is limiting at least 4 houses.
That's correct. That's right. Yeah, I mean,
So
there was never any
predominant-
intention to max this out.
Yeah, and I think that's a point for me, because I understand, I mean, we just had a gentleman talking about his son being killed in a car accident on a 2-lane road in the county. But I think that is important. Yes, there's 9 lots at 2, but he's putting away a lot of property in the back.
Right.
You can correct me if I'm wrong.
That's correct.
So that does have an impact on the traffic and safety or whatever you want to do. So I think that's, well, I guess what I'm saying is a lot of developers don't do that.
That's right. And especially with what land costs these days too. I mean, he's not somebody that's been sitting on property for 30 years. He bought it last year. So, you know, he paid modern day prices for land, and most people are going to try to maximize that. He's not trying to do that.
The other point I'd make too is the density.
Right.
That's a important issue to me, is the fact that you take that, density comes out to a little over 4 acres.
Right.
a lot.
Right.
So you don't see it very often.
Right.
Any other questions from commissioners? Then we're ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve rezone P 250015 as a AG to AR, and also remove number 4 of conditions, and then the other conditions remain as they are.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve rezone request P 25-0015. This is going from AG to AR with all the conditions that submitted except number 4. Number 4 is removed.
And I would like to add one additional condition, which is what Mr. Underwood brought up, is that there be a maximum of 12 lots.
What was condition 5?
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that.
Mark's motion did not, he's including condition 5, but help me remember what 5 was.
Condition 5 was to reflect the AR zoning,
So if,
AR3 zoning.
so if we zone it AR, do we
5
need,
not needed.
so you need to include that probably to eliminate condition 5?
Yes, sir, I'll do that. Eliminate 4 and 5, and then add the other condition, the maximum of 12 lots.
All right, let me try it again. We have a motion. You're good with these changes?
Yeah, I got something.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to approve rezone request P 25-0015, going from AG to AR. It will have 4 conditions, with the submitted condition 4 changed to a maximum of 12 lots. Condition 5 is struck. Any discussion?
Well, I do have one thing to say. At the planning commission, there was something said by one of the members, and I respect it. It was talked about precedent. I've been on the county commission for almost 17 full years, and that's always an issue. Anything that comes up, always somebody can come back and say something said. I could think of a number of things over the years that somebody could take and make a challenge to, but the issue to me, again, is somebody were to come in, and the reason I'm saying this is because of the comp plan, and I'm probably the biggest stickler about the comp plan is there has been on the county commission, but if you look at the density, you can't hide what's the density. And What we're talking about is 4, where it figures up, it's around 4 acres per lot. Not 1 acre like across the street or close by. It is close to 4. And a lot of that's gonna stay as green space. So I think that's, if somebody wanted to challenge the county commission, then my opinion is you have to match it. Not come up with some lame thing where I want to put some 1 acre lots. That's not what we're talking about. So anyway, thank you for allowing me that time.
All right. Everybody clear on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item is discuss and consider the award for the RFP for Civic Center repairs. Whitney?
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm requesting the board's approval to accept the committee's recommendation of Reams Construction for the specified work to the Civic Center as issued in RFP 25-030016. The contract amount of $505,404.54 with an additional 10% owner's contingency and all necessary budget amendments for the life of this project.
Thank you. Any questions of Whitney? Do we have any public comment?
Good.
With that, we'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we approve the award of the RFP for the Civic Center repairs.
We have a motion second. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Next item is discuss and consider the design services contract for the Hog Mountain Road, Wellbrook Road roundabout.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. We're looking at the corridor around 441 Hog Mountain Road. We're seeing a lot of interest in development rezoning, and so as part of that, we're trying to get ahead as far as transportation planning efforts. And so with that, we're looking to do a Wellbrook Road roundabout at Hog Mountain Road, which would also include a median divider along Hog Mountain Road going into 441. The recommendation would be for Carter to design it for $195,000 with an additional $55,000 related to the alternative raised median. This will have a design in place that will be able to go to when the developments start coming online, the necessary acquisition of right of way and getting with the developers as far as contribution to the road improvements. The recommendation would be total of $275,000 between the two projects with a 10% owner's contingency to include all budget amendments for the life of the project. Be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from commissioners? Do we have any public comment?
I got one question. It's kind of pops in my head. We talk about public comment. Once they do their work, will it kind of bring back a kind of a draft of what we're thinking about? Because I think we probably need to get, have a public comment on that as well. I assume we would want something like that. So we're talking about creating things out there that aren't there today.
Yeah, that's correct. So this is an item that our transportation engineers took a look at, have a concept in place. This would be design services ultimately for at least the roundabout portion itself and then the others. We could have it out iteratively, but that's what transportation engineers are saying based on the anticipated development in the area. These are the improvements that need to occur to the roadway section so that we can maintain adequate traffic flow in the area.
After they do the surveying and if you want a draft brought up, we'll bring it.
Well, I'm just thinking that, this is a pretty significant discussion as far as that whole area. And I just think that, something like significant like that needs, maybe an opportunity for public review or public comment before we finalize anything, so. Because we're talking about more than just a roundabout, I guess, eventually. Yeah.
Trying to fix the whole issue.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
We did get a motion in a second. All right, let's do that.
Make a motion
Going back and forth.
to approve.
Second.
Got a motion second to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is discuss and consider Dawson Park Gym and Field Services Building Architectural Services. Justin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Dawson Park is currently under civil design through Carter. What we are also looking to do is bring an architect on board to concurrently design the either 2 or 3, whichever configuration they end up being, buildings out there. One is the Field Services Building, which would house our road department, fleet, and the field services aspect of water resources. And the other would be the basketball gymnasium, either in a 1 or 2 gymnasium configuration, which would ultimately house 8 basketball courts. To that end, we're recommending approval of Hill Foley Rossi as the architect to do this. This would be design services for $185,000 for the field services building and $397,000 for the 2 gymnasiums. This is based on an hourly basis with a not to exceed number at this price. We're recommending approval with all budget amendments for the life of the project. The benefit on bringing the architect on board now, even though these may come later, they can work hand in hand with the civil designer to make sure that all the grading works and all the other utilities marry up with each other. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for commissioners? Do we have any public comment? Ready for a motion?
Second.
We have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Does any commissioner wish any item to be removed from the consent agenda?
I might, if you answer this question, I won't. But Mr. Woodall said last week that he would provide more information about the timeline of the project for number 1. I have not heard from Mr. Woodall. Has he given you that information?
Mr. Woodall has, and I have information for you. If you
Good.
give me one moment, please. The So anticipation of that, they're looking at approximately 6 to 8 months to collect data, complete the ultimate design. Right-of-way acquisition would go into effect directly after that. And then if everything goes according to that timeline and assuming, which is not currently, assuming funding becomes available, we could go potentially fall of 2026 for construction.
Okay.
But again, I would remind the commission, there is currently no funding attached to this project for construction.
I understand.
All right. Anybody else? All right, we'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we approve the agenda items as submitted.
Motion is second to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We do not have need of an executive session, so Commissioner Sacks.
Motion adjourned.
Second. We're adjourned.